recently and things that will definitely be changing, firstly for the channel, and then later on just in my life by and large in general. There are, as I've mentioned, a number of changes coming which I want to be very transparent about and make sure everyone is aware of that situation. So if you don't mind, I'm going to take a moment just to alert people to the video on YouTube, on Twitter I should say, so that everyone knows where I am. Now, this video might take a little while for viewership to come in, for people to come and watch, but essentially, as long as the video is going to be on YouTube, this will be broadcast so anyone can catch up on demand when they want. I've written out a bit of a script to essentially say exactly what's going on with me, so I'm sure you will forgive me if I now start to read it. So, welcome back to YouTube. I'm Tom Colahue. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm senior journalist over at Sportskeeda. I'm on Twitter and as Tom Colahue. I write quite a lot of wrestling-based news. If you're a pro wrestling fan, I would hope that you're at least slightly aware of my name by now. If not, I've been doing it wrong for a while. Today, the focus isn't necessarily going to be all about wrestling. Today's focus is basically going to be on me, which is not something I like to do a lot because I don't like to be the story, but there have been some pretty major impacting changes going on for me recently, and it's going to impact YouTube, it's going to impact my Twitter, it's going to impact my work, so I felt the need to ensure everyone is aware of what's going on. Now, the focus is going to be on me, what I've been doing for the last few years, and what I now need to be doing for the next few years. I encourage anyone to ask questions. I will catch up once I've got through the initial scripting thing, which is just a couple of minutes of what's been going on. Now, for those that aren't already aware, I got the news on Friday out of the blue that given the current economic circumstances, I will be losing my job working in benefit fraud or welfare fraud if you're American. I'm intentionally oversimplifying the job role to maintain a certain order of anonymity. Now, what this means is firstly, that for the next few weeks, I'm going to be very busy. I'm going to be desperately trying to protect my colleagues from their own job losses. I'm the union rep in my office. It's not something I talk about a lot because there is a certain political aspect attached to union rephood, but I am a union rep and I do believe, for example, in pro wrestling unions. We've seen a lot of changes in pro wrestling recently, and that's something I thoroughly support. Now, being the union rep, that means I'm going to be sitting in with a lot of meetings and with a lot of people and desperately researching employment law to try and uncover anything that might further protect people and, of course, myself. Viola says, I'm an amazing person. Thank you very much, Viola. I do appreciate that. Now, at the end of all this, I also technically have to try and protect myself. But honestly, I don't think I have the fight left in me for this one. It's been an extremely difficult time over the last few years, and this is one of the many reasons I've been working as hard as I have to create this second job role that you know me from as a wrestling journalist. I've tried over the last few years to be quite a few different things. I do run a marketing company, for example, but I do that quietly in the background. I also have novels available on Amazon, which I don't focus on much because the people on my Twitter, for example, follow me for wrestling content. People on this YouTube follow me for wrestling content. So I like to try and focus on that wrestling content. I try and be a bit more exciting than this, for example, where it's just me in a static white background with a couple of lights on me. Hopefully in the future, we'll get a bit more excitement on screen. My last paycheck is expected to be at the end of August, but with a little creative wrangling, primarily using the law in the way that it's intended, I'm going to attempt to make my employer give me what I'm actually owed. That would mean payment until the end of October, a considerable severance package, and a small amount of tax back. That, coupled with my savings, should give me a significant security blanket. I do at this point want to say thank you to a lot of people who've reached out with job offers, with potential short-term employment, with messages of support. Thank you to everyone who has done that. I am in a relatively secure situation, but thank you for thinking of me in what is a time of need for me. I do very much appreciate that, and I appreciate knowing that the people I'm talking to are such good people that they are willing to do that. Darren McDonald says, in a business full of shady people, you're one of the good guys, Tom. Again, thank you very much. That does mean a lot to me. I've encountered a few shady people in my time, and I try to set a good example, so it does mean a lot to me seeing that. Ooh. Now, I plan to use some of that money to upgrade my technology. There is a reason for this, which I will get into a bit later on, but this is what I mean when I say the detail on screen right now might not be so much detail. I, in the past, have tried to live stream on Facebook, and there have been problems with the software that prevented it. Hopefully that is not the case. Arjun Adhikara says, "You're awesome, thank you very much." Ian Tiwari, love your work on Insider News. Thank you so much. I have every intention of continuing to provide that. Dominic Perez likes my music. I appreciate that you always comment that. I every now and then think about changing up the music, and then I think of you liking the music. Viola says, "This is exciting. I personally don't need wrestling content, and I hope things get better. You really are one of the good people." Again, everyone's been really nice. Thank you so much, everyone, for saying such nice things about me. It means a lot to me. Now, in January 2016, I sat down and I asked myself if I was happy with my life. There are a lot of things in my life that I am very happy with. When it comes to career, at that time, the answer was no, I wasn't. So I set about making some changes. I sat down and I wrote myself a 3-year plan. At the time, I'd never written anything about wrestling. I had 62 followers on Twitter. Nobody had ever heard of me. I reached out to a number of different potential outlets and I was firmly ignored by most of them. The exception was Wade Keller of PW Torch, someone I respect immensely, even before this. He offered me a voluntary contributor role, writing a series of comedy articles weekly called the Roman Reigns-ometer, which up until recently was what I was most known for. Matt J. Hendricks asked for an update on SummerSlam's location. At the point, there are a number of states who have been reached out to. I'm not entirely sure who has confirmed or who has denied. To my knowledge, a lot of states have said they are not interested. I know there are some states that have reached out to WWE even before this. For example, Oklahoma is a state that really wanted to work with the WWE and bring them to their state. However, at the moment, Connecticut is the leading option. Manny says, "Just keep pushing. Caught your video yesterday after my wrestling podcast stream." I do intend to keep doing that. That is one of the things I'm covering here. I'm glad you were able to catch the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Right. Shortly after I initially got the role at PW Torch, I came to the decision that I wanted to push for that next 3 years. Now, over the last couple of years, my name has appeared on almost 100 different websites. I've been referenced in YouTube videos for some huge names. I make a small income writing for sites that truly believe in me and what I'm capable of. I have a shout out here, the websites that currently employ me, Daily DDT and Sportskeeda. At the end of last year, I unfortunately had to say goodbye to PW Torch because my work at Sportskeeda was taking up a lot more time and because I had a full-time day job, which of course at the moment things have changed in that regard. I simply didn't have enough time to focus on a voluntary role. Wade was completely understanding of this decision. There is a rumor pushed by one person on Reddit who is determined to push this rumor that I was fired. Anyone who thinks that, please contact Wade Keller. He'll tell you you're wrong. Now, shortly after that being the end of the 3-year period, which was the end of last year, I moved on from PW Torch and I made the decision to launch my YouTube channel, which has gone far better than I ever expected, to be honest. I gave myself a target of being profitable after 2 years and I'm still on track for that, and then some. I'm extremely proud of what I've been able to do. If you look back to my early videos, literally I recorded it in one take on my phone, and then at the end of it, it was uploaded straight away. Quality is bad, it's in my hand, it's shaking, and at some point it was popped up on a box. So things have changed in that regard. Slayer asks, how old are you now? I have just turned 32, which when I was young I thought was very old, but now that I'm here I think it's quite young. I believe I still have quite a lot of time. This is my second time being made redundant, unfortunately. It's just something that happens in the workspace. Sometimes you work for someone and the work dries up or the work becomes unavailable. Obviously, nobody could have seen this coming. I actually don't blame my company, but a lot of people seem to be surprised at the amount of people who've been let go or will be being let go. Unfortunately, nothing I have done so far has put me into a position whereby I can be a full-time wrestling journalist. Right now, I am simply not in that position. Barely anybody can cover this topic full-time. Very few people can, at least. Big names like Keller, Meltzer, Johnson, they are pumping out daily content, daily news reports, daily podcasts, daily messages and articles on their websites where they get the ad revenue. I have none of that infrastructure set up. They're recording live podcasts right after shows to thousands upon thousands of people, a viewership they've spent decades building. I am part of a new breed that's come in the last few years, and being blunt, I can't put food on my table doing what I'm doing now alone. The question I then ask myself is, what if I want to? What if I want to take this full time? What if right now I'm not ready, but what if I intend to be very shortly? Since the UK lockdown came into play at the end of March, I've been focusing on what I can create. I'm not usually a guy who's very self-focused. I like to work with the people around me. I like to encourage them, develop them, give them stuff to do. That's why quite a lot of Sportskeeda write-ups come from different writers. Because yes, admittedly, I could write it up myself, but I could also put food on someone else's table. I was in a very secure position. That's one of the things that may have to change. I may be writing up a lot more of my own stuff, which I have no issue with, let's be fair. I've been making a lot more on YouTube since then. Almost every video I create now contains something that you can't find anywhere else, and I'm very proud of that. I reported on WrestleMania having no crowd 6 days ahead of time. AJ Styles moving to SmackDown 4 months ahead of time. Dominic Mysterio skipping NXT almost 12 months ahead of time. And I recently started a debate series that I'm very, very proud of. As my viewership, I really genuinely hope that you're enjoying it just as much. I'm proud of what I'm making, and that's been very fulfilling. Someone who just says YouTube user says, I'm watching from India. Welcome. This live stream will hopefully be the first of many, as apparently live content is one of the best ways to connect with people and to try and make a living. At this point, I want to send a thank you to everyone commenting, everyone watching, and everyone who watches on catch up. I really enjoy bouncing back off of people, and to be fair, I've got more viewers than I expected, because I'm a bit of a pessimist. I never expected to enjoy being on camera. I'm someone who, and this is going quite deep, I'm going to be a bit personal here, I genuinely can't stand my own face. I have exactly one mirror in my entire house because this, right here, is the most repulsive thing I've ever known. And yet, here I am. I took a chance, and for anyone thinking of starting a YouTube channel, do it. Because that's what I did, and my confidence has grown. Over the course of the last 15 weeks in particular, I've been live every single Monday on Sportskeeda's Facebook page in front of thousands of people. And where once I found that terrifying, I now find it extremely rewarding. Even if nobody's here right now, I scripted this because I expected to have no viewership, but there are people here, and you've been bouncing back, and I appreciate every comment here. But I said, even if no one's here right now, and writing this script out, I know that it's very likely, I still enjoy being here, talking about whatever there is to talk about. So you're going to get a lot more live content. I want to be live, able to have people asking me questions. People able to come on and say, what's happening here? Even just Matt there asking about SummerSlam's location. I want to be delivering that to you. You're going to get a lot more availability for you to ask questions and get answers. You're also going to get a lot more focus on information that I do have, because at the moment a lot of people talk about what I report. I've made a few headlines recently. The Aleister Black thing certainly took off more than I expected it to. But I also get a lot of small pieces of context to what other people report that I want to share. It's not worth writing up as its own thing, but it's a small piece of context that I can deliver in a Raw or a SmackDown review. Essentially, if you want to know the full picture, you can look at my in-depth analysis playlist. You can look at the Raw SmackDown reviews. If you stick with me, if you're subscribing here, I will endeavour to give you every tiny piece of a full picture to constantly update the information I have, and when something is inaccurate, to clarify, to be clear, to be constantly listening to new information and to make judgments on that and reaching out for clarification and confirmation from verified sources. If you want to know the full picture, come here first. The YouTube user from India, unfortunately your name does not highlight, says, just follow your passion, we are with you. Thank you very much. I'm doing this a lot. it really does genuinely make me very happy knowing that people are so supportive. I do have a little section later on of just thank yous to supportive people. Please stay tuned because they do deserve all the shout outs in the world. Ultimately, I now have a deadline. I want to be a full-time wrestling journalist. That means staying up until 4 a.m. every Monday night here in the UK. That means being up again at 6 a.m. to watch Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan. It means scouring the internet for the latest news. It means never truly switching off. Sending out 20 or 30 emails a day, attempting to organise interviews, but still probably not watching that much 205 Live. Before I move on from this, I do want to say a few thank yous to people who have done great things for my career so far. Obviously, I've mentioned Wade Keller, giving me my start when I had 62 followers on Twitter and no one had ever heard of me. Over the last 18 months, a lot of people have shown me faith, including everyone here in this chat, and they've been willing to platform me. My work has been in The Sun, The Mirror, Give Me Sport, The New York Times, The New York Post, Cultaholic, What Culture, IW Nerd, Wrestle Talk, as Slayer mentions there, No DQ, Sportster, Sportskeeda, as I've mentioned, Daily DDT, as I've also mentioned, and many, many more. It is a true source of pride for me that Ringside News refuse to report anything I write. That, for me, if you ask me, is a very good result. Welcome True Heel Heat. Again, someone who has platformed me recently, had me on their YouTube channel, and I really enjoyed that. So I look forward to being on, hopefully more in future, and maybe having you guys more involved here. One of the ones I really want to say thank you to, and this is part of my script, he gave me a shout out even after I'd written the script, so I know he's watching, is Kevin Parvizi. Sort of my boss, the reason I work for Daily DDT, because this is someone I wanted to work with for a long time, and I was so grateful to get the chance. Daily DDT, since I had about 200 Twitter followers, has been by my side, has been amplifying me, and anything I can do to support them, I endeavour to do. The whole team have done great things for me, both personally and professionally. Naturally, the biggest thank you goes to Riju Dasgupta and everyone at Sportskeeda who have made this dream achievable, who've put me in a situation whereby I can actually say I am making money and may actually be able to do this full time. Not necessarily all from Sportskeeda, but they have given me so much, even just in credibility, in amplifying my voice, in getting me out there. If not for them, I'd feel a lot more scared going into the loss of my main source of income right now. And what I have just realised is that it is very, very early in the morning in India, so thank you very much to everyone there who is watching, who is up at a ridiculous time of the day. It is what, 2:30 there? Thank you so much. Finally, to those that have followed, who've subscribed, who read and who watch, thank you for joining me on this insane journey. Hopefully the next steps will work out for everybody. Reese Thomas, part of a group chat family I have. Hey Tom, I've only caught some of your videos so far as my dad phoned me halfway through. Sorry to hear about your job, but if there's anyone who can make this work and go full time, it's me. Well, he says it's you, but he means me. Thank you. That means a lot to me, that I have people who believe in me so firmly and who are so willing to even just say that. I know so many people who feel reticent to say positive things, but you're just constantly saying great things to me. RH Parvez, you deserve this, do this full time. 1,000,000 subscribers waiting for you. I don't think I'm ever going to achieve 1,000,000 subscribers, but your belief means a lot. Andy Moyes, someone I know personally and who is also in a very similar circumstance right now. For the time I've had the pleasure of knowing you, you deserve every ounce of success. So sorry for yourself as well. Anything I can do, let me know. I'm here for you just as much as I can see you're here for me. In India, it's 2:49 and you're watching. Brave. Thank you so much. What I have planned for next starts with more live content. Maybe not necessarily just on YouTube. There are already things in the pipeline when I got the news. Please stay tuned on that one. But also more content in general. I want to talk more about New Japan. I want to cover the latest news as and when it happens instead of 24 hours later. I also need to put focus into getting that 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and 4,000 watch hours. And that's one of the reasons I'm live right now, to set out what I'm planning to do. I never want to be a journalist putting news behind a paywall. That works for some, but it doesn't work for me. I never want to make it so that people have to pay me to ask questions about wrestling. I want to be available so that I can answer anything that I can answer. That's the situation right now, but if 6 months from now my savings are drying up, that might be the only option left for me. Graziek Fortuna says, yes, I took a moment to try and work out the pronunciation there. Hello from Poland, mate. We've got almost no wrestling here, so all your reports are something greatly appreciated. I have heard that, actually, that in that region, and some of my Russian colleagues, Eastern European colleagues have been saying that it's very difficult to get wrestling content out there. I will try as best I can to be on that platform and to fill in whatever gaps are possible. Kevin, welcome. Tom, you're the most thoughtful, hard-working wrestling insider there is. You can do this and I have your back all the way. To everyone else, yes, Tom really is that wonderful. Thank you. You flatter me, sir. I knew you would say good things, and you have already had my back all the way. Literally, since as early as day one, you've been there championing me. I can never repay what you've done. Jim Sullivan says, go for it, Tom. Wishing you all the best for your future. Thank you, Jim. I hope to supply as much content as possible that fits your needs as much as anyone. Abiram Goodimela says, we love you. There's love hearts from him and from Slayer as well. Thank you, guys. This means so much. So I know where I need to put my focus. I don't know if I'll be able to do this full time, but right now, there's nothing else I can do. What I can say is that I want to. What I can say is that I plan to. And what I can say is that over the next month or so, you're going to see some changes to that end. And if this doesn't work out, well, then I guess wrestling journalism maybe isn't for me. But at least I gave it my best shot. I've put a note in caps there essentially saying, if there's anybody there, do a Q&A. If there's nobody there, just sign off quietly. There are people. There have been 13, 15. There have been quite a few. People have been rotating in and out. There have been some names I know well, some names I don't know too well, but hope to get to know more in the future. If you have any questions, I'll give you a couple of minutes, and at that point, I'll head off. This has been really reassuring. I've got to say, really very reassuring that I may be able to do this. I do have people behind me who are going to push to that end. It means a lot to me, everyone who has joined me here, everyone who has given me a message of support, asked a question, and everyone who even just likes a tweet, shares it, anyone who reads. It really does mean a lot to me that people are willing to even just engage, because when I started, the whole concept seemed ridiculous. The whole idea that I could actually make something of this seemed like a complete fantasy. And here I am. Greziek says, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take, or something like that. Wayne Gretzky. Michael Scott. I don't seem to be getting any questions at the moment. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's joined, everyone who's watched, everyone who's commented, and everyone who has watched this maybe not live. Thank you very much. You'll be seeing more of me in future, and hopefully I can deliver what you're looking for and what you deserve.